Hello, and I'll today be presenting my own reflection on the recent individual simulated teaching experience where I covered my lesson planning, objectives, topic covering, and the teaching strategies that I employed during my micro teaching. After executing my micro teaching, it felt challenging because it was my first time experiencing with a fraction of what an actual teaching felt like. The teaching materials that I used were Canvas slides and printed worksheets where I focus on teaching them and the skills on teaching and listening and speaking. The aftermath of my lesson is that my students were able to comprehend what I'm teaching them while also executing the tasks I've given them, which tells me that my teaching methods for this micro teaching work. Based on my observation, I noticed that some were distracted with each other while others were quite engaging with the class. Nonetheless, when given questions, they're all able to answer them regardless, which brings me to my conclusion that they're actively listening to what I'm teaching them, but they're also multitasking that same attention with other stuff. For me, I can highlight some of my strengths and weaknesses. For my strength, I can mention that the teaching materials that I provided were sufficient for them and their level of proficiency, in which I'm very glad for this micro teaching. Next is how I executed with prompts and teaching modeling that I successfully guide these students, especially the ones whose thoughts are still hazy about certain tasks. For my weakness, I'd like to mention how fast the pace I've taken during the micro teaching to the point it's a bit obvious to the students that it felt rushed. So I'd like to make an improvement on that. Now, for the impact of my micro teaching is that I can confidently say that it fits my students of different learning styles and how my lessons can pique their interest to pay attention during the whole session. Moving on, while making the lesson plan, I've thought about the goals and what I want my students to achieve. And part of the goals were to be able to use 5 of our new learned vocabulary in spoken sentences. Another goal was to have them correctly identify and respond to different feelings in certain scenarios, while also being able to explain their own perspectives on the aspects of special relationships during the speaking activity. In conclusion, I've learned so much about my own execution and what my lesson planning looks like when they're actually using it for micro teaching. This session opened my eyes for more improvement on my part so I can learn better and have backups for when things go south. But yeah, I'd like to incorporate more about traditional teaching and modern teaching for a better teaching experience.